Ridley Scott is easily one of my favorite directors of all time. He's made so many iconic films like Alien, Blade Runner 3 times, and Kingdom of Heaven, the director's cut. This guy's a lot of cuts. But most importantly, he made Gladiator, an all-time classic. It's got grand-scale action, intense Colosseum fights, political intrigue, and a strong emotional core of a man who just wants to be with his family who can't. Now, Ridley Scott's got a bit of a reputation that every time he makes a film, the gods flip a coin. It's either a masterpiece, dog shit, or in Prometheus' case, just like the ship, lands right on the edge. So the real question is, which side did that coin land on for Gladiator 2? Is it a worthy sequel to Gladiator, and does it need to be for it to be good? Let's talk about it. Given we're watching a Gladiator sequel, one of the key aspects Ridley Scott had to nail was both the fights in and outside the arena, because having engaging combat really elevates the storytelling and emotional investment I can have in this film. And seriously, it's a Gladiator film. The ultimate boys movie! Give me the decaps and the stabby stab. And not to mention, Gladiator 1 genuinely has some of the best battle sequences I've ever seen in a film, especially that opening. And no, I'm not nostalgia glazing, I only saw it last year. Now interestingly, Gladiator 2 also opens with a sprawling battle sequence, and it brings with it a surprising amount of depth. In Gladiator, we follow Maximus from the Roman legion's point of view as they conquered the Germans, which is framed as a glorious victory. Yet in Gladiator 2, we follow Acacius and the Roman legions as foreign invaders, on top of following Lucius and the West Africans of Numidia defending their homeland to no avail. The emotional climax for Gladiator 1's opening battle was Marcus Aurelius hearing Maximus survive, as he was relieved and hopeful that he can pass down his legacy, his dream of Rome to Maximus. Whereas with Gladiator 2, Lucius's wife Arichat is killed, and we frame Acacius's victory over Numidians as not a glorious one, but as a pointless, shameful occupation. Both men see the dream of Rome is failing, and it fantastically sets both of their arcs up about how they're going to reclaim this dream. So Gladiator 2 starts off really strong, but unfortunately it never truly grasps that depth again, because instead, we gotta redo the first film, but worse. Because we follow our protagonist, whose family is killed by the Roman Empire. They're then forced into slavery and the fighting pit before a slaver purchases them, promising them vengeance and gets them into the Colosseum, where each fight they rise in stardom until they can earn the opportunity to kill their target. Now, on paper, I don't actually have a problem with this setup being similar, as Ridley clearly intends Lucius to be a successor figure to Maximus. Them going the parallel journey route makes sense, and there's also limited pathways in actually getting Lucius to become a gladiator in the Colosseum. It'd be like saying, oh man, why is that Hunger Games sequel so derivative? Like, dude, there's Hunger Games in the title. But it's essential you offer enough differences to justify the similarities, and that's what makes Gladiator 2 worse, because while Ridley does a great job with changing up the set pieces in the fighting pit in the Colosseum to keep it fresh and fun, yes, especially the sharks, it's historical fantasy, and they were fun. It pains me to say this because it's an online mythical boogeyman that's used a lot to get out of good criticism, but this film's got bad writing. Now, it's not for lack of trying, mind you. Ridley does have a lot of interesting ideas in extending the arena from the Colosseum to Rome itself. From a political standpoint, we have Macrinus climbing up the political ladder. We of course also have Acacius planning to overthrow the emperors. Lucius wants to both kill the Romans and also save the Romans, but most importantly, we have my favorite Hollywood trope, evil gingers. That's all my people are worth to Hollywood. See, these are all mostly good ideas, and the actors are doing great with the material they're given, but the execution is just lacking. Let's take a look at Macrinus, for example. He's a slave trader who wants power, which he gains by leveraging Lucius. Fair enough. We also see that he's a victim of the Roman Empire like Lucius, so there's an interesting commonality between the two of them. But I don't exactly know why he wants power aside from retribution. Like, does he have his own dream for Rome? Does he want to maintain the status quo? Maybe does he want to destroy Rome? I don't know. Now logically, given Lucius and Lucilla represent Maximus' dream of Rome, Macrinus would be the coin-like figure who uses the hero to gain power but will maintain the status quo of the system, as it makes him an ideological foil to our hero. But it's intentionally unclear, so why do I care if Lucius succeeds? Rome might be fine either way, aside Roman soldiers having to fight Acacius' loyalists. But at least he owns the senator's house. That was funny, and generally I liked his character. He's a great presence, I just wanted to understand him better. But speaking of Lucius, this movie rests on the character working. He's the heart of the film, yet he's got two completely contradictory motivations. He's got the I will destroy evil Rome, and especially Pedro Pascal, but we also have everybody's dream D&D character, but actually, I'm the legendary Lucius Verus, the one true successor to Rome. I'm also Maximus' son, and I must carry on his mission. Like seriously, we get all these underworld visions of his dead wife, but I guess he decides, Acacius is actually pretty cool. I guess I'm gonna save Rome now. And this drastic change in motivation wouldn't be as much of an issue if Ridley didn't completely botch the mother-son relationship between Lucius and Lucilla. I hate you, mother. My wife is dead because of Rome. I hate you.
The next day.
Mother, of course I love you. Sorry, I couldn't see who Acacius really was. Anyway, let's go save Rome. Yeah! And truthfully, it's so close to working and making sense, and all you have to do is make one change, and that is Lucius actually kills Acacius. If Lucius kills Acacius, you immediately turn the Roman people against Lucius and provide conflict for Lucilla and Lucius, all while Macrinus proves he actually does hold power over Lucius, who claimed he didn't. Lucius realizes he got vengeance for his wife, but it's clearly wrong, and you get to keep that "I couldn't see the man." But now Lucius has done the whole kill the spouse angle to his mum. It's like poetry kinda, and she's rightfully angry at him. Lucius would pivot his motivation to maybe there is a dream of Rome worth saving after all. If not to honor Acacius, at least for his mum, and for Maximus. Lucius still leads the rebellion in Maximus's armor, winning back the people, yet tragically he's unable to save Lucilla, which reinforces how Macrinus still has power over Lucius and the dream of Rome at large. We could even keep the final battle the same, but it's got the added benefit of Lucius finally freeing himself and Rome from Macrinus. And look, this isn't gonna have the S-tier speeches we want, but at least gives a more consistent through line for this character, which you sorely need. And annoyingly, it's all there. Or as you know, pick one of his motivations and stick with it. Because as it stands, he's a bit sanitized and not having to make any tough choices, and his motivations are too contradictory in its current execution. His transition isn't earned, it's demanded by the script. Not to mention that Lucius, unlike Maximus, also doesn't get to have hard-hitting monologues. We get glimpses of a cool monologue with, "Is this how Rome treats its heroes?" But it still pales in comparison to any of the monologues from the original. And of course, we just kind of end the film with a young fit guy beating up an old dude and anticlimactically calling off the T-static battle, which again, I don't hate the idea, but it's such a lame speech that it doesn't feel earned. Though I did enjoy seeing Denzel's arm get cut off, that was pretty peak. Unfortunately, when your film's plot is decently executed at best, I'm not surprised people call it derivative, as the best content comes from the incredibly fun action set pieces. You're just gonna focus on the similarities of the first. And hey, it could always be worse. At least we didn't tarnish the original's legacy. That'd be really bad. Oh wait! Yeah, I had to save Lucius being Maximus's son for his own section, because it honestly makes the first movie worse. Maximus's character has been forcefully recontextualized from a noble guy who seemingly had a strict moral code to a big old cheater, given Lucilla knows Maximus's child was 8. The same as Lucius. Yay! And okay, sure, Maximus and Lucilla clearly had a relationship, but it was kept ambiguous on purpose that Lucius could be Maximus's child, because it has an interesting layer of nuance. Maximus can see Lucius as a son either because he's imprinting his recently dead child onto Lucius and wants to be a good role model, or maybe because Maximus feels a good familial bond. It's up to you to decide. Well, not anymore. But here's my main point. We traded away nuance in the original Gladiator for Lucius to be a direct parallel to Maximus, as Lucius takes up his and Marcus's dream of Rome. But he could have just done that. Could have worn the armor and taken the ring because he was inspired by Maximus in the first film, and again, they already had an established, albeit brief, mentor relationship. The entire movie works the same without having to damage Maximus's character in the original. So I've clearly been very harsh on this film, and rightfully so, but I also do want to continue defending this film, because there's truly a lot of great stuff here. From epic, tense action to good acting and good pacing that kept me intrigued even when the payoff wasn't always there. And Ridley Scott also treated us to a visual feast. We've got fantastic cinematography, an immersive grand scale to this film, and beautiful practical sets and costumes, and it takes place in an era that I really wish we had more film set in. Ridley Scott delivers a very entertaining, fun film if I watch it casually, that I will rewatch, and who knows, maybe like Prometheus where I do more rewatches, I might get more out of it, as it does have a lot of ambitious storytelling here. But is it a worthy sequel to Gladiator? Well, it tries to be, but no. Yet that's not what defines a good or bad film to me. Otherwise, I pretty much just hate most Star Wars films post-Empire, so instead I also account for how entertained I was. And yeah, I reckon that coin wobbled a bit, but ultimately, it landed on its side. It's absolutely a popcorn movie that definitely has some problems, but on the whole, I can ignore these problems and have a fun time. So my verdict is a 6 out of 10. I was entertained.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?